Welcome back everyone. So just to give a quick recap, last time we created the texture for this box here and we applied it to the box and scaled it so that it looked slightly better. But this time what we want to do is we want to create texture for this ground here. Now you can see this is quite a big sort of space here. Now we could do this the same way, but that would only limit us to having just one texture on it. What we want to do is we want to have it so that we can put multiple textures on it. In order to do that, we're going to make a texture brush. In order to do that, it's pretty much the same as this, but with a few more advanced sort of techniques. So, if you remember from last time, once you come into your content drawer here, you'll right click, you'll create the new folder and name it. I have called this one texture brush. Just like in the create material video, I have uploaded already what I want to basically use, rather than sort of going over things I've done before. So first step we want to do is we want to create a material as we did before. So right click, click here under material, and we are just going to call that texture brush with an underscore as a space, because you can't have spaces in Unreal Engine. So that is going to be our texture brush. We're going to double click. We're going to open this up here. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit because this is going to get a little bit full. What I want to do is let's decide on what we want our main our main ground texture to be. So let's go with the granite tile. So I'm going to select all the granite tiles here. There should be 4 or 5 of them. There is 5, and just drag them in. Once we have done that, we're going to want to simply separate them until we can figure out which one is which. So this one here looks like it's going to be the main one. That's the rough one. So that's going to plug into rough. I'm just going to put that down about here. This one here, when we check it, is our diffuser, or DIFF. We put that to the top. We're going to plug that into the base color. This one here, the blue one, is more than likely going to be normal. The yellow one is ARM. We're going to use that. We've been using that for our metallic. So we're actually going to move this down. Plug this into our metallic. And we're going to move it to here. This one is normal, so it's just going to come down here and go into the normal slot. And we know it's normal. It's like everything else is over here. Nor for normal. This one here is our ambient occlusion, so that's actually going to go down to the bottom one. So our AO, or ambient occlusion, is going to go down here. Now, at least they normally would do this, but we want to break all these. We jumped ahead. So the reason we've broken all that off is quite simple. So before any of these connect here in order to use a brush, we're going to need to blend them together with everything else that we're going to add in here as well, so that we have the more than one texture. So what we want to do is we want to right click, and we're going to type in landscape, and you see it right here, landscape layer blend. And we're going to take this, we're going to come off over to the left hand side here, and we're going to add an array element. We're going to open up this index here, we're going to go into the layer name, and we're just going to call this granite. We're going to hit enter just so we know that it's done it. We're going to close that and create another array, which will come down as index 1. That one, when we click in the content drawer, we are going to call, and it doesn't matter which way you do it, we're just going to call this brick pavement. So click here, and we've come off of here, so click back onto there, index 1, this is going to be our brick pavement. So that's brick underscore pavement. Return. And we want to add one more, and I've once again clicked off, but we're going to click back on, we're going to add one more, lower that down, open up index 2, and we're just going to call this flower. And that's that done. Now, each and every one of these will go into one layer blend. We're going to need a layer blend for all 5 of these nodes. So we're just simply going to duplicate 2, 3, 4, 5. Should then enable us to just go bum, 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 bum. Maybe that will. So our first one is going to go here. Our second one, and the metallic one is going to go here. Our third one is going to go there. Now this will be our fourth one. It goes down to here. And this one goes down to there. It's important to make sure you know where they all go. So this one will go into our base color. This one will go into our metallic. This one I have blanked on it is our rough. So this one will go into our roughness. This one here will go into normal, and this one here into ambient occlusion, which is there. Now we have the basis of it, so we're going to take this. We don't want to place a new node, so we're going to take these, move them over a little bit, like we did before. What we're going to do now is we're going to press the C button on the keyboard, and that's going to create a little comment. So we're just going to call this granite, and then we're just going to extend this down just to cover our nodes, just so we know that they are in fact all the granite nodes, so you can keep track of them a bit easier. Next, we're going to start on the brick pavements. We're just going to take the brick pavements as we just did, copy them in, move them around as necessary. That's going to be normal, so it's going to go there. That's going to be about here. I believe this one is going to be our diffuser. It is, so this is going to go to the top here. This one I think is going to be a rough. No, that's our AO. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect fit, so now from here, a little bit simplified, so we know that this is our base color, so we're just going to plug that up into layer for the brick, and we're just going to follow along with all of these. Until all 5 are connected, and once again press C and just put brick pavement. Now you can use spaces in your comments. It'd be pointless if you couldn't, but you can't, so careful not to click off. Now just move this over a little bit, or not. And then finally we're just going to do the same for our flower. Do it there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one here should be the diffuser, I would think. Yes. Put that there. This one's going to go here, because that's our metallic. This one here is our AO, so it's going to go down to here. That's our normal because it's the blue one. Always seems to be the blue one. Should make this one our rough. So we just quickly confirm that, yes. So zoom out again, we know where they're going. So this goes in the top one here. This goes there. There. And so. And once again, C, type in flower, just so we know what is what, without having to go and look at it. Drag and extend over. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but what if we need to scale it? As we've seen when we take the textures from Polyhaven, we usually do need to go and scale them. So much like the other, much like when creating a basic single material, we want to have our texture coordinator. Just type in text, and it'll come up here, texture coordinate, hit enter. We only need one of these. And as before, we'll type in skull to get a scalar parameter. On this occasion, we're going to need 3 scalar parameters, one for each texture. So what we're going to do is create some more. And we can just duplicate this one twice to do that. Now to differentiate, we're simply going to change the name from param to, what was our first one? Was granite, wasn't it? Yes. Our first one was granite, so we're going to change that to granite. This one here will be changed to brick. You can add the word scale to at the end if you want, but unless you're making a material instance, which in this case we're not, you don't necessarily need to. And I'll show you how later as well. So once we've done that, we're going to create our multiplies. So we have one multiply, and we're going to duplicate that. And just in case I did that a little bit too fast for you, how we get the multiply is right click, type in MUL, and it automatically comes up with, let's actually go multiply 4v4, and we only want multiply. So just make sure you select the right one, and then delete that. Now before we do connect anything, we want to change these settings to, usually set it to 1. As I showed you in the last video, I prefer to set it to 0.2. Usually gives me a better starting point for the actual texture scale. Our texture coordinator now is going to go into A of all the multiplies. Our granite is going to go into B at the top. Our brick is going to go into B at the bottom, in the middle, sorry, and our flower is going to go into B at the bottom. Now from here, we're going to move this over to here. If you want to, you can add a comment to say that this is multiplying, but you don't necessarily need to. Now as before, this multiply here is going to go into the granite, it's going to go into the UVs, so these slots here at the top of each of the different texture nodes. You can use more than 3 materials for this if you want to. This one here is going to go into all the ones in the brick pavement. Just make sure that all of them are connected, otherwise the scale won't work properly. And this one will obviously go into all of the ones here. You don't have to do them in order, just as long as you get all of them connected to the right slots. Now, with that done, we're free to hit the save button, and we now have our texture brush. But that is not just going to work off the bat on its own, so we now need to go and make that work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down here, just so I can come back to the map. Now we can see this here. So we have the ground here, and we can scroll down, we can look under materials here, we can see the element is MI prototype. Now we can select here, and we can change it to our texture brush or not. I'm not entirely sure what it was doing there, but a simple Control Z undid whatever the heck it was doing. This is all we wanted to do. So see, here's our texture brush here. We can just select that. Alternatively, we can go to the content drawer and just drag and drop it into the materials there. Now, first thing you notice is this goes black, so it hasn't really worked. But that's because it's still not set. It doesn't know which one to actually do. So what we need to do now is we need to come up to the selection mode and select landscape. Once you've selected landscape, we then want to click paint. Or maybe not. Where is everything? We effectively have not built a landscape, so let me just quickly create this. So back to our selection mode, we are going to select all of our landscape again. We ended up with too much landscape here, which is a pain, but is the nature of the beast when you're going from 5.3 to 5.5. So we're once again going to come here, find our landscape material, tick it on. We're then going to find our texture brush, which is this one here. I can get it just to show you that that is in fact our texture brush there. We're just going to drop that in here, which turns everything here black, much like inside there, which is not classed as a landscape. So we're going to come into our landscape, we're going to click on paint, and here it doesn't do it for us. We actually have to click here to create layers from assigned materials, and now here is our layers. So once we have that, we're then going to click create layer info and do a weight blended layer. Don't worry too much about this, just hit the save button, that will do it itself. We're going to do the same for the brick pavement and the flower. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take subtractive blend. Now effectively you can see that our granite tiles are now here. We now have our granite tiles. So we are now free to paint whichever layer we want. By simply saying, let's say we want brick pavement, we click that. We can edit our brush size here so it's not going to be so big. Result of the brush fall, so we can now paint. You see it sort of rendered there, and now you can see our little brick pavement is starting to start going. So now we can really make this our own. We're not stuck to just working in squares. Now if you want to use more than one, you are going to have to make a change here. So if I try and add, let's say I want to add some really small flower terrain here, and I do this, well, that has actually worked straight off the bat. So it's a 5.3 issue, but I will show you anyway. So I'm just going to come back to selection mode. So this clearly works in 5.5, and 5.3 this will end up with a rendering issue when you try to use two different painted blends on the same one. And the way you would fix that is by coming into your brush, come back to here, go back to the texture brush, load up a texture brush again. What we would do is we would come to all of our nodes, and see where it says from texture asset, we would change it to a shared wrap. I'm going to go ahead and do all this anyway, and the easiest way to do it is just to select them all at the same time. Simply hold down Control as you select each and every one of these texture nodes. Each one is going to be a shared wrap. Hit save. Let me come back here. So let's say, I mean, this looks pretty good to begin with. So let's have a look at flower texture. It's not looking so good. So let's say we want to edit that. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this down here, just to have on the screen here. We want to find the scale for our flower brush, which should be this one here. So you see it's currently 0.2. So let's put it to 1. Hit enter, hit save, and it changes on screen, and you can see it's atrocious. That's why I never put it to 1. Let's say we put it to 0.5. Every time you change it, you hit save to apply it, and you can see that it applies. You can actually see that the 0.2 is currently the best one we had. So let's try 0.1. And you can see a little bit more flowers there. You can, if you want, you can go lower than that. Let's go 0.009 for instance. It will let you do that, but as you can see, it does not look good at all. Of course, I should have went 0.09, and I'm actually going to leave it like that. So we can close this down. Now if you want to actually experience it a little bit more, you can click this play button here, although our start is over here. So what I'm going to do to fix that is just quickly come here, click on this player start and delete it. We can always put that back in. Then we're just going to move off over here, and now anywhere we press the play button, we should just drop in there. So you see us now, we're on our little terrain. Use WASD, we can move around. We can have a look at the terrain, see how it looks to our 3D person mannequin. And that is it, folks. That is how we create a texture brush, albeit with a few issues in Unreal Engine 5.5, but we got there in the end. So I hope this helped you out and that you enjoy making lots and lots of textures and terrain from it. Have a good day.